Very good evening, my dear friends. We will now proceed with the learning of our corporate and securities laws. In fact, earlier I gave a little introduction over that. Once again, I want to give you with regard to the law of investments and securities. Before we touch upon the SEBI, SECRA, and then other legislations thereon which have been given in the syllabus, friends, let me explain first what I mean by investment. You have to understand the basic concepts first, then accordingly you can proceed with the further analysis thereon. That investment basically means employing money for some profitable use. Obviously, nobody would employ money for non-profitable use, right? Unless it's a charitable purpose. So in commercial parlance, as we are dealing with commerce, the commercial laws, we have to say it is employing money for some profitable use. Then it can be in any form like purchase of immobile property, deposit of money for interest, commercial lending of money, and then purchase of shares and debentures, which are called otherwise technically securities, because we are dealing with the corporate and securities laws. So corporate laws, we have already completed company law, but we are coming to the core subject. In the core subject, what we have studied earlier, Companies Act, is to be further governed by the provisions of SEBI, SECRA, depositories, FEMA, and then other legislations thereon. So with that, you had to study these particular legislations also. So if the money is invested in shares and debentures, that is securities, then it is called investment in securities. That is where the crux comes into picture. Then the securities have the nature of easy convertibility into cash, which is called technically liquidity. Liquidity it is called. And the money may grow in value. The securities may grow in value and then they are saleable also. So even though the immobile properties are saleable, the concept is totally different. And then you may have a property worth 10 crores, but it is not convertible into cash easily. That means liquidity is not so easy. But have a security, a share, a debenture, then the liquidity is faster. Convertibility into cash of a security is that way very easier. So the securities are easily saleable, where the SEBI, SECRA, depositories, these legislations come into picture. And they have less cumbersome procedure in comparison with the sale of immobile properties. That is why people prefer securities for investment and then for various, in fact, social security purpose also. The employment of money for a gain in any mode, including in securities, is technically called investment. So the investment, that is the employment of money, is the basic subject matter of financial market, which deals with the capital market as well. Capital market is part of financial market. So financial market includes capital market and then the money market also. So financial market means capital market, money market. The capital market consists of securities market and various other forms of lending and borrowing. And the money means here only cash either in hand or in bank. Money is the medium of exchange for all transactions, including the exchange of goods and services in human life. So friends, when a person fulfills his basic needs, he will then look forward to invest his money for a better life and better living and then social security also. And then in that direction, he will employ his money in various options of investment, which includes, of course, securities. In fact, you can deposit in a bank which would get hardly 5.5 or not more than 6%, even senior citizens. But in the way a share you purchase and then in 1 month it doubles or it may crumble, you have to take that gambling. When a person invests his hard-earned money, he naturally expects proper returns. And then in this direction, I rather request you to study the laws governing investments and securities in India, particularly in India in particular and in the world in general. and a separate mechanism is provided on regulation and control of investments and securities in India, for which the epicenter, the background, the basis happened to be the corporate entity. For that reason, you had to study the company law in letter and spirit. Obviously, we have already studied that. Now, the supplemental legislations you have to study with regard to the securities. Securities derived from the corporate entity, and then SEBI, SECRA, depositories, FEMA, all these legislations are supplementaries to, in fact, govern these securities, the securities market. So, friends, in general, you understand the subject matter. In every country, the investments and securities basically depend upon the financial system of the country and the economy thereon. So the economy and its growth depend upon, again, the sound financial policies of the government of that country. A sound financial system is the life spring of the modern economy of the country, which plays a very pivotal role in the economic growth, the capital growth, the production and distribution of goods, and providing services as well. Then the financial system of the country comprises of financial assets, services of financial nature, financial market, and other contributing factors like banks, NFBs, non-banking financial institutions, both government and non-government. So I want to draw your attention here that the calibration of an economy is carried through economic indicators like growth in gross domestic product, which is called GDP, the production of goods and services, the agricultural production, the quantum of rainfall, inflation, deflation, the status of balance of payments, and the foreign exchange reserves and investments, etc. For all this, the legislations governing happen to be the SEBI, SECRA, FEMA, depositories, which we are going to study. So I am giving the introduction and background of these legislations, which we are going to study, and you are going to write your examination. Then, friends, the investment and securities depend on good functions of a good financial system, of course. Then the good functions of financial system includes availability of liquidity, currency regulations, banking functions, cash reserves, control of credit, fiscal policy of the government, and other related contributory factors which are governed by the policy of the Reserve Bank of India in our country. In India, the economy's financial system is based on the financial market, dear friends, investment products, market participants like derivatives, and of course the policy of the government, of the finance department of the government of India, and followed by the RBI regulations thereon. The financial market, which is very relevant to the present subject matter, has two major segments called the money market, and the other one is the capital market. The money market pertains to exchange of short-term and, short-term funds to solve the liquidity requirements of the borrowers. Normally, money market consists of such financial claims whose maturity is under an year, having low default risk, high marketability, high accessibility, flexibility, and other related contributing factors. The capital market is called a market for financial investment, which is direct or indirect claims to capital. It consists of securities market, both primary and secondary, and also various other forms of lending and borrowing. In a direct public issue, you purchase, it is primary market, and then you purchase through the stock exchanges, stock brokers, then it is secondary market. And it includes, and as it includes the security markets, its scope is very wider than securities. In fact, the securities market is concerned, there are various other forms of lending and borrowing, and then it also covers various aspects of term funding. So friends, with this background, we'll have to understand two important terms, the investment and securities. I would like to deal with the particular meaning of investment and securities in two different sessions, and then now the version which I have told you is the first version of the corporate and securities laws. Now, in the next version, we will deal with the meaning of investment. Thank you, dear friends. Good night.